Shalom, 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 Israel. This is Captain Paul Israel from Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC, and today's class lesson is going to be on Yahshua's Words of Wisdom, Part 4. Again, Israel, today's class topic is going to be on Yahshua's Words of Wisdom, Part 4. Okay, Israel, so this is going to be a good lesson to discuss on this particular new moon day for January the 21st of 2023. Okay, this is going to be a new moon class lesson for January the 21st of 2023. Okay, also we're still technically in the year of 2022 due to the fact that springtime hasn't came in to usher in the new year understanding when springtime comes about. But again, we do have the understanding that, you know, we go by the Gregorian calendar, understanding when we post these new moon dates. Okay, so people don't be confused that's out there trying to follow and find out what day is the new moon day. Okay, so now that we got the understanding of that concept, okay, so now we about to get started. Now we about to get started with this particular lesson on Yahshua's Words of Wisdom, Part 4. Okay, so we're going to start out in the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 1. We're about to give the understanding of Yahshua HaMashiach's words of wisdom in the parable format that he was delivering unto this particular multitude of people, okay, that he was speaking to in this context when we go into the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 1. And also to get the understanding that while Yahshua HaMashiach was speaking in parables to this particular multitude of people versus just speaking directly in a plain understanding to his disciples. You know, Yahshua is going to explain why he spoke in parables mostly to the multitude of people, okay, versus just speaking plain language unto disciples only. Okay, so Israel, get out your pen and notepad, get your notes, because it's going to be a quick lesson, and it's going to be a good lesson to know what's going on. Okay, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 1. It says, "The same day went Yahshua out of the house and sat by the seaside." So Yahshua HaMashiach left out of his house. Yes, Yahshua HaMashiach, the Black Messiah, had his own house. Okay, so as you can see, it says, "The same day went Yahshua out of the house and sat by the seaside." So now Yahshua HaMashiach is standing near the seaside, which would be the ocean water area. Okay, Yahshua HaMashiach sat by the water area. Okay, let's go to the next one. Matthew chapter 13, verse 2. Okay, Matthew chapter 13, verse 2. It says, "And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore." So again, as you can see, Israel, so as you can see, a great multitudes were gathered together unto him. So Yahshua had a big following, you know, at this particular moment right here, because people realize, of course, that this particular man being referred to as Yahshua HaMashiach was different than any other man they had been observing in Israel or Jerusalem. So again, yes, Yahshua HaMashiach was able to draw a crowd. Okay, it says, so that he went into a ship. Okay, so now when we go back to Matthew chapter 13, verse 1, Yahshua was sitting initially by the seaside after he left his house. Okay, so Yahshua HaMashiach was sitting by the seaside. Okay, Yahshua HaMashiach was sitting near the water area. Okay, near the shoreline. Okay, but then when we get to the book of Matthew chapter 13, verse 2, Yahshua HaMashiach is now going inside of a ship and now sitting inside the ship. Okay, while a great multitude of people were gathered to hear from him. Okay, and the people of the multitude of people, they was what? Standing on the shoreline. Okay, they were standing near the shoreline, near the waters. Okay, it says the whole multitude stood on the shore. So the people stood on the shoreline of the waters. Okay, that was near the ocean water area, because that's why it says seaside. Instead of saying ocean, it says seaside. Okay. And you had a big multitude of people standing on the shore of the particular ocean water area. Okay. So now we got the understanding. So now we go to the book of Matthew chapter 13 verse 3. So now, of course, the multitude of people are now trying to listen to Yahshua HaMashiach while Yahshua HaMashiach is sitting on this particular ship that's being referred to as a boat. Okay. So now Yahshua HaMashiach is now going to speak a parable unto these particular people, who was the great multitude. This is the book of Matthew chapter 13 verse 3. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. So now Yahshua HaMashiach is now going to tell this multitude of people that came to hear of him or hear his words near the shoreline, to hear his words of wisdom, right? They came to hear Yahshua HaMashiach speak, while Yahshua HaMashiach was what? Sitting on a particular ship that's been referred to as a boat. So now Yahshua HaMashiach is going to speak a parable unto these particular multitude of people. But we're not going to read, of course, all the parable understanding of this understanding. But to summarize it up, Yahshua HaMashiach was giving a parable to this multitude of people of a sower that went to sow some seed that was in the ground. Okay, so this sower had a lot of seeds, and he threw a lot of seeds onto the ground. And some of these seeds got, thrown onto certain different types of ground levels, as far as there's different type of soils. Okay. And then once these seeds had landed on the ground in whatever area the soil was throwing these seeds to be grown in the ground at, you had a actual bird that was being referred to as a fowl that came about to take some of the seeds away. But some of the seeds that was planted in certain areas in the ground to be sown, some had grown to be a good fruit, and then some, of course, in general, was grown to be destroyed, meaning it didn't grow to be a fruit. It grew to be scorched by the sun, by being overheated, or some actually was growing with thorns in it. So a lot of the plants or the fruits did not grow to good substance. So Yahshua HaMashiach is just summarizing in a parable understanding that sometimes when the righteous elect are amongst the multitude of people, it's only a small remnant that's going to grow to get the right understanding of the Hebrew truth. Even though you have many different seeds or many different people that's walking the earth in general, that's basically trying to grow in some type of understanding, similar to like a seed that's planted in the ground that is normally supposed to be grown to be something, but theoretically only a small remnant of those seeds would be prosperous to grow into a fruit. Same analogy goes into people in general that's brought to this earth. Only a small remnant of Yahweh's elect are going to grow to be prosperous in this understanding of the right type of knowledge of the Hebrew understanding. Okay, so this is the metaphor understanding that Yahshua HaMashiach is giving, but he uses seeds to be planted in the ground as a quote unquote parable, but really is getting into the remnant of the children of Israel that's amongst the other Hebrew Israelites that are not selected to get salvation. Okay, they are selected not to get salvation, but the small remnant of the majority of the house of Israel will get saved. Okay, only a small remnant. Okay, so if we go all the way down to verse 10, so I just gave Yahshua HaMashiach's parable in its short form. I summarized it up in a simple lore. I summarized Yahshua HaMashiach's parable that he gave to the multitude of people by the shoreline, right? I gave it in a summarized standpoint, okay? But this is the understanding too as well why I'm bringing out this lesson, okay? This is Matthew chapter 13, verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? So now, once Yahshua HaMashiach was observed speaking to this multitude by the shoreline, while Yahshua HaMashiach was on this particular ship, right, talking to them, right, the disciples came and now witnessing Yahshua speaking to this multitude on a particular parable. And the disciples are now going to question Yahshua HaMashiach. Why are you speaking to them in parables? Why don't you just basically talk to them like how you talk to us. Like meaning Yahshua HaMashiach dealt differently with the disciples compared to the actual big multitude of people. And Yahshua HaMashiach is going to give the example on why he's only talking to this multitude of people in parables and not just plain language for them to understand, to get the concept versus just talking in parables. Okay, Yahshua HaMashiach is going to explain why the disciples are basically able to get the better understanding on what he is talking about. Okay, when Yahshua HaMashiach deals with the disciples in person. Okay, so this again is Matthew chapter 13 verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? Okay, so now the disciples are like, man, why is Yahshua HaMashiach speaking to these people in parables? Why he just don't speak direct in plain language unto them so they can get the concept of what he's talking about? Okay, this is the book of Matthew chapter 13 verse 11. This is Yahshua HaMashiach is going to explain why he's speaking to this multitude in parables. Okay, Matthew chapter 13 verse 11. He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Whoa, wait a minute. You see this, Israel? You see what Yahshua HaMashiach told his disciples? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. But to them it is not given. So again, the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven understanding was given to the disciples because Yahshua HaMashiach had a personal relationship with the disciples. Okay, but to them it is not given. So that multitude, it was not given unto them to get the understanding of the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. They were not given the understanding to know Bible prophecies. Okay, they didn't have the understanding. Yahshua was not going to give them that understanding, and he's going to explain why he did not give this multitude of people who were Hebrew Israelites the understanding of the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Okay, we're going to find out why. Matthew chapter 13 verse 12. It says, for whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever have not, from him shall be taken away even that he have. So again, it says, Yahshua is saying again, because this is of course in red letters, this is Yahshua's words, right? For whosoever have, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. So whatever a man have, according to this Hebrew understanding, right, to him shall be given the understanding. He shall have more abundance, because now once you have this Hebrew truth understanding, you're going to now have abundance of life, meaning you're going to have the knowledge of self. You're going to make better decisions. Okay, that's what it's getting into. It says, but whosoever have not, so whoever don't have this understanding of the Hebrew truth, from him shall be taken away even that he have. So the ones that don't have the knowledge of this Hebrew truth, they're going to be what? Taken away in Yahweh's wrath. They're going to be destroyed because they put their trust on worldly possessions and worldly goods. Okay, so you have a different scenario. One that's in the Hebrew truth and the other is not in the Hebrew truth. The one that's in the Hebrew truth are going to get the abundance, and the one that's not in the Hebrew truth, everything they held on to on a worldly standpoint shall be taken away. The riches of this world is going to be done away with. Okay, because this is what worldly people do. Worldly people focus on worldly possessions and worldly goods, but it's going to be taken away. But the ones that was focused on this Hebrew truth understanding, they should have abundance because they're going to inherit everlasting life. Okay, that's what Yahshua HaMashiach is getting into. This is the book of Matthew chapter 13 verse 13. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Whoa, wait a minute. Let me read this again. It says, therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Because it would be pointless on talking to this multitude of people. This is what Yahshua is saying. He said it's pointless of talking to this multitude of people when this information that I'm trying to give to you disciples, this understanding is not going to resonate with them because they're not meant to get the understanding. Okay, even though they're hearing my parables, right? They seeing me in front of them doing miracles and so forth. They heard the stories about me, but they are not going to hearken to this Hebrew truth. So that's why Yahshua HaMashiach was speaking to these particular multitude in parables, because these particular people that was in the multitude was not in the right understanding. It would have been pointless. And secondly, these particular multitude people were what? Gainsayers, right? They wasn't seeking real true knowledge. They just wanted to make a mockery of Yahshua HaMashiach. That's why he says, because they see and see not. They have their eyes open. They see me in person, but yet they don't believe. They do not believe this Hebrew truth. And hearing, they hear not. So even though they have ears, right? What it says, neither do they understand. So they don't understand this Hebrew understanding, period, because why? They are worldly. They are of the world. They only know worldly understanding. So that's why when you come to this Hebrew truth, certain individuals can't grasp the concept of this Bible. Because this Bible is spiritual. Yahshua HaMashiach is spiritual. His 12 disciples were spiritual. They were spiritual. So that's why Yahshua HaMashiach was dealing with the 12 disciples, because they were spiritual men of understanding. All they had to do was have Yahshua HaMashiach show them these things that they supposed to know, and it's going to click. It's going to connect, because these 12 disciples were spiritual men already. See, the multitude of people, they were worldly. So speaking on spiritual things, it would not resonate on the mind of the multitude of people that Yahshua was speaking to initially, before the disciples came to see Yahshua HaMashiach. Okay, at this particular day. Okay, so it says, therefore speak I to them in parables, because the multitude of people were not on a spiritual understanding. They was on a worldly understanding. They would not be able to comprehend. Matthew chapter 13, verse 14. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see and shall not perceive. You see this? Because according to the prophecy of what Isaiah was talking about, because when it says Isaiah, it's talking about the prophet Isaiah from the Old Testament. Okay. Isaiah is the Greco-Latin name of Isaiah. Okay. When it says Isaiah. Okay. So Isaiah prophesied that the children of Israel are going to hear the words of Yahweh, but they're not going to have no understanding. That's what it says. By hearing ye shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see. So the people are going to see the miracles, see Bible prophecies unfolding, and it says, and shall not perceive. So they are not going to take this truth that they see in person in mind. They see in reality, when you fast forward up today in modern day times, you see World War III is about to start, right? The judgment of the Most High is about to be coming on the scene soon. Yahshua HaMashiach is about to make his second coming. The 144,000 men of Israel are coming on the scene in full effect. Okay, when World War III occurs. But yet the majority of our people, they are around the same time frame everybody else is, as far as when they get the knowledge of this Hebrew truth. But yet they're not getting the understanding on repentance. Even though they see these events about to take place, as far as the destruction of the Gentile nations. Okay, they see all this going on, but why is the majority of our people still focusing on worldly things? Why are the majority of our people still focused on sinful things? They're not focusing on what? Keeping Yahweh's commandments. Okay, so this is prophecy. That's what Isaiah said, prophecy. So we are witnessing prophecy in these last days, that many people are what? Going to hear Yahweh's word, but they should not understand. They're going to see the prophets of the Most High speaking, thus saith the Lord, speaking, thus saith Yahweh. But guess what? The people, that's the multitude of our people in modern day times, shall not perceive, shall not take heed to the commandments, because this is prophecy. Okay? So it's prophesied that the majority of our people will not hear the word of the Most High, but only a small remnant is going to hearken to this Bible. That's prophecy. Okay? Spoken by Isaiah, the prophet, that Yahshua HaMashiach was in remembrance of, speaking from the Old Testament. Okay? Because Yahshua HaMashiach gospel is mentioned in the New Testament. So Yahshua HaMashiach always gave homage to the prophets of the Old Testament. Contrary to what these Christian ministers are talking about, that the Old Testament is done away with, but yet Yahshua HaMashiach is quoting from a prophet from the Old Testament. So these modern day Christians don't know this Bible. So I'm going to have to keep cutting you with the word of the Most High. So we're going to keep this Bible in its proper context. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Okay, let's go to the next verse, because we already read Matthew. We already read Matthew chapter 13, verse 14. Now we're going to the book of Matthew chapter 13, verse 15. Because this is, again, the further understanding of prophecy, of what Isaiah spoke on. And Yahshua HaMashiach is reflecting on what the prophets already wrote. Okay. Matthew chapter 13, verse 15. It says, "For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them." Whoa, 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 wait a minute. You see this, Israel? You see this? "For this people's heart is waxed gross." That's talking about the children of Israel, the majority of the children of Israel, the majority of the house of Israel. Minds is waxed wicked, and their ears are dull of hearing. The majority of our people, the blacks, Hispanic, Native Americans, their ears have been closed to hearing the gospel. They don't want to hear the truth. They want to stay in the world. And their eyes, they have closed. So they see the judgments on the earth. They see the Most High bringing plagues all throughout this earth, but yet they don't want to pay it no mind. They don't want to pay it attention. They want to focus their eyes on worldly things, worldly possessions, worldly sin, worldly festivals. This is what the people of our nation are doing in these last days, because they are fulfilling Bible prophecy that Isaiah the prophet was prophesying that the majority of our people would be doing in these last days. It says, "Lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart." Talking about now, if they had the right mind, the right understanding, they would hear, they would see the truth. They would see this Bible unfolding right in front of their eyes. And they will understand with their heart. Talking about they will understand with their mind. They will pull the pieces together and say, we the people of the book, we got to keep these commandments. We went into slavery because we broke the commandments of the Most High in times past. And it says, and should be converted. Then we're going to change from the old man to the new man to be what? Repentant as Hebrew Israelites. Whether we male or female, we're going to repent as Hebrew Israelites because we have been destroyed because of our disobedience from keeping Yahweh's commandments. And I shall heal them. So once we now come to this Hebrew truth, convert back over to being a Hebrew Israelite, then the Most High said he was going to heal us, meaning return us back to what? Jerusalem, where we can keep our laws and our heritage. But the majority of our people, their mind is destroyed because they refuse to return back unto the Most High. But they don't know that they are fulfilling Bible prophecy that was spoken by prophet Isaiah from the Old Testament. And Yahshua HaMashiach is speaking on a spiritual level understanding that the disciples are able to get the understanding, because the disciples were what? Spiritual men. They were not of the world. Okay, so Yahshua HaMashiach is speaking to the disciples on spiritual understanding. Okay, so this is what it's getting into. Matthew chapter 13, verse 16. "But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. So Yahshua HaMashiach is saying, blessed are your eyes, blessed that are your eyes, you disciples, for they see. So you see, you witnessing things, and your ears, for they hear. So now Yahshua HaMashiach is saying, now you have eyes to see, you have ears to hear, because what? You're now able to pull the pieces together to get the right understanding, because you believe. The disciples believed because they was spiritual men who walked with Yahshua HaMashiach in spirit and truth. They was not of the world. They forsook the world to follow Yahshua HaMashiach, the black Messiah. Whereas that multitude of people did not want to follow Yahshua HaMashiach. They was just there as a mockery because they was unbelievers. Okay? Matthew chapter 13, verse 17. It says, for verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Whoa, 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 wait a minute. This is deep. You see this? It says, for verily I say unto you. It says, for verily I say unto you. This is Yahshua HaMashiach speaking to his disciples. That many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see. So many men, right? Many men that was righteous in times past, right? From the Old Testament days, and many prophets from the Old Testament days, right? Desired to see Yahshua HaMashiach in person like that, doing certain miracles in front of the people. They desired to see that day, right? And which ye see. So now the disciples are able to see these things and have not seen them. So the men of old, right, the prophets or the righteous men from times past were not able to see the things that the 12 apostles or the 12 disciples was able to see. Okay. And to hear those things which ye hear and have not heard them. So now the disciples are able to hear and see the miracles of the Most High through the Son of Yahshua HaMashiach. But the prophets of old and also some of the righteous men and women, right, were not able to see the things that those disciples was able to see personally. Okay, so this is why in this Hebrew truth, you may say, why isn't everybody getting the understanding of this Hebrew truth of this Bible? Because it's only meant for a certain select amount of people to get this understanding of this Bible in its proper context. So if you have access to this channel on Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC, that's a good thing, because you now have the right concept. Okay, how to live right according to the Bible. But many people, they're not going to grasp this understanding. This level is a spiritual understanding, similar to that parable that Yahshua HaMashiach was telling this multitude by the shoreline. Okay, and when he was telling the parable to this multitude about that sower sowing that seed to the earth, when he was sowing the seeds to the earth, and out of that seed line, that of course the sower was sowing right onto the earth, a big majority of those seeds did not produce to good fruit. It was only a select amount of good seed that was able to produce good fruit. Okay, the other ones did not grow into good fruit. Okay, or a good plant did not grow into a good plant. So the analogy is, many people are going to desire to claim that they have knowledge, but they really not going to have the knowledge, because their knowledge is worldly. See, Yahweh is looking for spiritual people, right? This understanding of this Hebrew truth, this Bible is spiritual. The 12 disciples were spiritual men. Yahshua HaMashiach was a spiritual man. So to get the right understanding of this Bible in its proper context, you have to remove sin from you. You cannot be worldly thinking you're going to get the understanding of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what Yahshua is saying. If you're of the world, you're not going to grasp the concept of this Bible, even though you're witnessing Bible prophecies in front of you. So you wicked Hebrew Israelites, you're not going to understand this Bible. This is above your pay grade of understanding, because you are of the world. But you spiritual Hebrew Israelites, male and female, that want to repent as Hebrew Israelites, you will get the understanding of the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, because you believe this Bible. You have opened your mind. You have renewed your mind to learn what the Bible is saying in its proper context, without the manipulation, without the lies, without the fake pagan traditions of this world. Okay, you now say, let me examine what this brother Captain Paul Israel is saying, because he's opened up the Bible. He's revealing Bible prophecies through this word, right? That the prophet spoke, that Yahshua spoke, right? And he's making it plain as day, is simple, so we can get the comprehension that we need to have in these last days. So we can get the comprehension that we need to have in these last days. So Israel, hopefully you enjoyed this lesson on Kingdom Builders Israel LLC on Yahshua Words of Wisdom Part 4, because like I said, the majority of our people, they're not meant to get this understanding. This truth, if you got access to this channel, is only for a select amount of people to get the right understanding what's going on with this Bible. Okay, many people are going to reject it because this is a spiritual level of understanding on a higher level. Okay, so keep that in mind, Israel, and don't try to force these videos on your family members, because they're not going to have comprehension of what this Bible is saying. Okay, because this is above their pay grade of understanding. This truth of comprehension is only for a select few of people on this earth. Okay, so other than that, Israel, hopefully you enjoyed this lesson on the new moon day of January the 21st of 2023. Okay, on Yahshua Words of Wisdom Part 4 video. So Israel, subscribe to this channel, and stay tuned for more videos on Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC YouTube channel. Other than that, Israel, shalom.